Isn't modern technology a wonderful thing? I'm Scott Hamilton on the Zoom with Annamaria and Dave from Vajra, and I got to be honest, I've been friends with Annamaria since I started the radio stations almost 9 years ago, and this is our first chance to actually have an interview, so hi.
Hi, it's good. This is really cool. I was looking forward to this.
Oh, me too. Because when I started the radio stations, you were one of the first, independent bands I heard from, and we had a good run with some of your songs back then. And now here we are, almost 9 years later, and you've got a new album out and a new song on both of my radio stations. So it's all good.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
So tell us, let's go ahead and talk about the new album now. Give me all the details and how this came to be, especially with COVID over the last year and that kind of stuff.
It's been kind of crazy. So the name of the album is Irkalla, and that's the Sumerian word for the underworld. So it's the first in a trilogy of albums that's exploring consciousness.
Ooh.
So this one is exploring the lowest level of consciousness, and it was fueled by a bunch of like personal crazy times. Like I had a breakup with someone I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. I was on tour in Sweden and my cat died.
Oh, so
My
sorry to hear.
Thank you. It was like really, really tough because he was like my baby. And then my roommate was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer and he had to move out.
Wow.
I was diagnosed with a tumor, which is non-cancerous. I also had some financial stuff. Yeah, thanks. So it was like crazy hell. And so all of that fueled Irkalla, the lyrics and the music to Irkalla. Some ideas, the way I write is kind of like I write some things, bits and pieces, and then put them together. We really didn't go into the studio until 2018 with Sahaj Tikateen from Rock. So he produced and mixed the album. And we started then, so I was back and forth to LA. We recorded drums with Blake Fleming in Oneonta because that's where he lives. For those of you that are friends or fans of the Mars Volta, he was the original drummer and then came back in 2006 and stuff. And he's a very good friend of ours, and he also recorded on Pleroma. So it's just been a wild ride, but everything pretty much everything was recorded, and we were in the mastering process, I think, last year, and then just focusing on artwork. So everything was already done and almost ready to roll when COVID hit. So,
And that kind of put everything on hold a little bit?
it, certainly put all the touring on hold.
Right.
So what we did and what we decided to do was, how are we going to spend this time if we can't tour? And we're not fans of doing the online, home concert kind of thing. It just doesn't translate.
Right.
Sonically, it doesn't translate energetically. So unless you've seen this, the Pussifer Live in Arkansas,
Which was really good.
amazing.
That translated well.
It really did.
But we don't have that kind of budget and all those cameras and all
Right.
that like it was outside and everything else. So we said let's focus on the visuals. So we have time now, and we like doing things our way. So we decided to create a story, and based on the descent of Inanna, the Sumerian classic hero myth. And we wrote this story. All the music in Irkalla will have a video component, and everything fits together in a short film.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're shooting it together ourselves. We're editing it ourselves. We're doing like locations ourselves, costumes, everything in-house. So we had the time, and we said, well, let's just go in that area, because that aspect of what we do. Let's go into the visual aspect now, since the music was already together.
And that's where the two videos, music videos that we released this year comes in.
Maya and
part of
Sour
that
the Tie. Yeah.
And there will be a long form. You'll kind of tie them all together when it's all done?
Yeah. So
In a way, yes.
yeah. So
I like it when there's a plan.
there is a plan. We're in the process of still shooting now. So it's possible that we have a friend come and help who's a screenwriter, a friend of ours, to help with some of the dialogue stuff, because we're like, we don't know what to do with that. So we're talking to a friend of ours now we're very fortunate to have, because he's got like
he's a Hollywood guy.
Yeah.
And you need those sometimes to do these kinds of things.
Yeah.
His expertise,
Right.
We like to do things ourselves, but like you got to understand when you have no idea what the hell you're doing.
Hey, when I need a plumber, I call a really good plumber,
Exactly.
So I noticed with some of the new artwork, we're seeing a lot more of you, Annamaria. Is this tie into this whole consciousness thing?
The presentation is coming from an aspect of the goddess aspect. So everything was fueled. The whole Sumerian thing was fueled by my curiosity to understand why we have, the Western world, a male, one God, why we have one God, and why the God is a male God, and why there is this imbalance between male and masculine and feminine energies. And I traced like history back, and I was looking at gods and goddesses, and I traced it back to the first civilization, and that's the Sumerian civilization. And the goddess Hecate, the goddess Inanna, and the goddess Ereshkigal have been like guiding this whole process, like the visuals and the music, the lyrics, the days that we release, all this sort of thing. So yeah, the presentation is a part of that. What I'm wearing and the way I'm presenting, I suppose, is a part of presenting that archetypal energy.
Right. I like it. No complaints here. But it's nice that there's a deeper mythology going on, so to speak, because a lot of music today is so disposable, and you guys are not just creating music, you have a video component, you have all this stuff behind it. For me, that's art. I like art that I can dive into and do a deep dive in and learn more as I watch more and listen to more.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Same for me. I mean, that's how I feel the artists that I love did that for me. I feel that I must be the conduit to that's part of my duty as an artist. I feel I must do that.
And also growing up, that's the bands I liked were immersive. Like you can immerse yourself into Black Sabbath or Iron Maiden, like there's a whole thing there. So,
with the artwork and the lyrics and the show, and
not like, oh, let's throw a song out and see what happens, so that's kind of like the headspace that at least I'm in, personally.
Yeah, and it fuels the performances. It really fuels what we're doing, because there's aspects that don't come from us. It's like we have to get out of our own way and out of our ego to have that energy move us and move through us. And that's the energy that if we are doing a good job and we get out of our own ways and that energy moves us, then it'll move you. If it's just coming from us, it's not, I don't think it's enough.
And that's why I agree with you on the whole, some bands just can't do a live streaming show and get the same vibe that you get in a room.
Yeah. I mean, it's energy, right?
Right.
Sound it's wavelengths. It's you feel it. A lot of times it's not even necessarily about visuals. A lot of times I'll go to a show and I close my eyes and just move. It's just an energy that you feel when you're around with everyone there, with the person on stage. It's just something that you can't manufacture. And you can kind of get something from a screen. You can, of course, but it's different. It's just not the full experience.
Oh, well, like movies. I watch a movie at home and I can appreciate this is a good movie and I enjoy it. But when you're in a movie theater on a Friday night and it's crowded and people are moving and there's an energy, it's kind of, it's
Immersive.
An experience. Yeah, immersive.
Yes.
So this has to be hard to as an artist to put art out there and then because there's a commercial thought in your head. You have to make money with this. And so you have songs on the radio, on mainstream rock radio, but you're talking about much deeper things than, say, your average AC/DC song. How does that work in your head to make this palatable for the masses? Because I know sometimes when I have thoughts, they're a jumble of things that I wouldn't tell anybody, but eventually I kind of whittle them down to an idea that's suitable to broadcast, I guess.
You know, it's really tough because, you know, we have had people say like, what is this? And what are you doing? And like, why? And look at us funny. And I don't attach myself to those kind of thoughts, because I know that like I said, the archetypes and the energy that moves through us is way more powerful than anyone's idea of whether they like it or not. Or a lot of times people hesitate when something's unfamiliar, and we're all aware of that. So to go in knowing that kind of helps us keep moving through it, because we just have to move past it. If you look at some of the great artists, you know, they weren't even, you know, Poe wasn't even accepted during his lifetime.
Right.
You know, it's just the way it is, because it's too weird or innovative. Like, not that I'm saying we're so innovative and so great. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying when it's unfamiliar art, people get a little nervous. Stravinsky, you know, had an opera called The Rite of Spring.
Oh, one of my favorites, man. That's a bombastic
Right?
piece of work, right?
Right. And what happened when he debuted that in Paris? He caused a riot. People hated it because the music was too different. It was too weird. And they were like, this is just not for us. And it's a masterpiece.
And
but
now
only afterwards. Yeah, yeah. So I'm okay with that. I just, you know, we just keep pushing through. And we have, you know, these concepts and ideas are the classic hero myth. It's in every culture. It's repeated in every culture in multiple, you know, different stories in different ways. So, you know, the history is on the side of people need to hear these things. People need to be reminded. And especially now when we have such a division in our world and such disconnection to spirit, I feel. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and spirit, and it could be any religion, anything that you want to, you know, any connection that you have to the great energy. It doesn't matter, and one is not better than another. It's, you know, you choose that, or you select whatever it is that speaks to you based on your experience and your life, your upbringing, and your blood, basically.
Absolutely.
You know, so it doesn't matter. But there are themes and that are reoccurring through history that we can connect with, that can guide us. And there are certain methods that are better than others to connect to that, one of which is music.
I saw you post about Wonder Woman, that you've been a fan and obsessed since childhood. Is this kind of carries on that idea, right?
Totally. You know, and there's a historical reference to that too.
Right.
Now too, which is really pretty cool. But again, you know, there's the goddess energy and female, you know, energy, and like females were warriors, females were, you know, the stereotype, you know, females were just, you know, in cooking, or, you know, in picking the field, you know, in the fields, picking the grains and all that kind of thing, but not necessarily. So here we are with a tribe of women, the Amazonians, and Amazonians or the Amazons.
Amazonians, I would, but
Amazonians.
They are Amazons, so.
Yeah. And so, and here's this tribe of women who were warrior women. So, and they're saying that, you know, they came from Persia. They think that they were actually Persian. And that brings us back to, again, the first civilization and Sumeria and all that sort of thing. So it's all kind of tied together. Yeah, it's cool stuff. I wanted to mention that there's this language on the cover of the album, and it looks kind of odd. it's actually cuneiform, the language, the Sumerian language that
Oh, wow.
taught myself a little bit how to write. And it's the word Irkalla in Sumerian. And then I got in touch with Dr. Irving Finkel, who's this leading scholar, cuneiform scholar. He's at the British Museum. And I asked him to correct my spelling, and he did. So that's actual.
So it's accurate.
It's accurate. Yeah, I was so excited. I love Dr. Finkel. He's got all these videos on YouTube. He's like the coolest dude, and he's a bass player.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
You got that musical connection.
Yeah, the dude is so awesome. You can check him out on YouTube. He's just so cool.
Awesome. Well, you said this is the beginning of a trilogy. What's the plan? How is this going to take a decade to get out there, or?
No, we've already got the demo for the second one mapped out. So we're talking to Sahaj now about when we can get back into the studio. We're like maybe late spring, early summer. So it's just a matter of getting schedules together and doing it. But we have the music already mapped out. So, and you know, we just I have to go into vocal melody and vocal lyric land, which is always, you know, like a totally, you know, you put on these different hats. So that hat has to come on now, which is a fun hat to be in.
So the way you guys do it, does the music come first and then you add lyrics to it, or?
It depends. Some songs want this, some songs want that. This one, the music is there. The music probably will be somewhat tweaked, but we've already tweaked some of that already. It's really more, I'm in lyric land, focusing mainly on the lyrics. And that's, you know, again, to reflect the second level of consciousness is, you know, what does that mean, right? What is the second level of consciousness?
Right.
You know, so it's exploring those concepts and ideas in my head. And also I do a lot of research, believe it or not, when I go through this process. And then, you know, whatever comes out, and that's what's meant to be. Although Sahaj will temper me and say, you know, you can't say umbilical in a chorus. Get it out. Like,
Can't rhyme with orange, so you know.
Yeah, he's like, find another word.
But again, that's why we work with professionals of particular things that we may not be so good at, like editing ourselves.
I'm really not. And when it comes to producing vocals, I'm horrible. Like Dave knows, like if I have to do anything, you know, vocally, I'm like, that's horrible, you know, like, let's do it again. And then I get all nervous and crazy. And I definitely need like hand holding when it comes to that.
So how has everything else changed in your lives due to this COVID situation? Everybody's trying to find new hobbies or dig deeper into their outside. Did you throw yourself all into work, or have you had some time to investigate some other things?
Oh, we've spent a lot of time like really going into video land. I mean, that was a whole different world for us that we had zero experience in. Dave actually changed his ecosystem. You can, you know.
I was an Adobe guy and I changed over to DaVinci.
Oh, wow.
Any video editors out there know what that.
Yeah, from while we were doing the video, like while we were in the middle of like shooting Vajra. I was shooting Maya.
Yeah.
So it was just like, you know, a lot of crazy time. And he also had a new camera that we were like,
And one of
learning to use.
One of the things that was really interesting about shooting the Maya video was the fact that we did it over the summer in New York City, you know, kind of before things opened up, we started, you know, meaning people coming around again. So
right.
We had deserted streets, deserted Times Square, deserted Chinatown, deserted Brooklyn Bridge. It was like zombie apocalypse happened. And
I was gonna say, Hollywood used to pay a lot of money for those kind of things,
exactly.
And you guys are just getting it.
Yeah. Oh my God, when you see in my mom still, like when we have the shot of us on the Brooklyn Bridge with the city in the back, we're like, it looks fake, but it's real.
Where's all the people?
You know,
right.
Like there were no people. The promo shot of us in the alleyway, which is actually 2 blocks from our house here, from our apartment. There was just no one in the people like that's that's a cool backdrop.
Did you rent that street, or that's a backdrop? It was a deserted street
down the street from the apartment
in the middle of Manhattan. So it's you know, it was really interesting.
Yeah, we were able to like, and that's the mindset we went into. Like, what can we do now that we can't ever do?
Yeah.
And we, when you're touring so much, we were touring for so long, and I just had zero time to even finish the music. None to think about recording, shooting, writing videos. We were like, that's just not going to happen. We're like, let's just do all this now while we have the time and while we have the city, to that's manageable, kind of go through and do it. So that's the kind of stuff we've been really focusing on. And just like, we weren't, we've got to get back to being healthy. Like, I usually run and I do yoga. I haven't really done much of that because I've actually felt like I've been busier now than I was then, but doing cool creative stuff. That's how, do you feel that way?
I do.
It's good for the soul.
Yeah, a lot of sitting at a computer for 12 hours is not good for the soul, but
no,
it's what you got to do when you can't go outside.
When he was editing Sever the Tie, he went into like this zone for, was it 3 days or 4 days?
For the Sever the Tie video, that was a straight editing job. And again, any video editor will understand this. I sat there for maybe 72 hours with tons of footage that I then had to put together into, a video. And, it was a lot of coffee and it was just fun. A lot of headphone, a lot of hearing the song over and over and over. And just like every millisecond of these videos, you come to know every single frame,
Oh yeah.
If we have a 60 frame per second, video that's 4 minutes long, I know every single frame of that, whole thing, which is, it's very interesting.
And for you, it's like double duty because you spend so much time on the music and hearing it over, and it takes a while to record an album, and then to make the videos from those songs that
It's right. So we've sat with this now for a while, and we have to realize people are just hearing this for the first time,
Oh yeah.
or for the first few times. We've been sitting with this for a couple of years now.
I've heard these songs thousands of times now, and they're brand new for everyone.
Welcome to the radio mentality. We have a listener walk up to us and go, "I'm tired of that song. I hear it so much." I'm like, "You hear it so much. We sit in the room for 5 hours a day and hear it every single time it plays."
That's right. That's right. It's crazy.
But hey, it's all like perspective, right?
Yeah, and it's not really fair for us to put our view out there. If somebody wants to experience it a certain way, they should experience it the way they experience it. To have it tainted by I've heard that so many times, is like, why am I doing that to it? So it's like, we'll put it out there, and that's and how it is the way it is. It's like saying, sometimes I hesitate. I like to say what the songs are about. I do like to give an indication, but somebody might get something completely different out of the song that's just as valid as what my original intention was. And sometimes when it's like reading a book, when you revisit the song later, it means something different to you later than it might have meant to you earlier. So it's just a constant moving process, it's an evolving process and a living process if we're doing it right. And so it's a weird thing. Do you say, do you not say,
And I think you've done a good job. When I listen to the songs, I'll still get what I want out of it, even though I know about all the goddess and Sumerian stuff,
That's cool.
Well, congratulations on the music so far. What I've heard, well, I've heard the whole thing, and it's really great. Maya was already a top 10 on Ice, and it's in the top 20 on Fire. We're about to move on the next song here on Ice. So continued success. I can't wait to hear the next two parts of the trilogy. Anything you want to say to fans and the world out there?
We just got the vinyl in, so so we're really psyched about that. And we have we did the art. Well, Taz Lemur did the cover art, so he's worked with Tool, Balto, He's just super amazing, good friend of ours, super creative awesomeness. And then we did some artwork on the inside. We have a booklet there, a little fold out, and there's a recommended ritual in there, and there's some etchings on the vinyl. And we have the black vinyl, but we also have the jewel splatter vinyl, which is pretty cool too. So we're really excited about that.
And we will put the link to the shop down below this video.
Yeah,
So
that'll be great. That'll be really cool. And CDs are coming shortly. We had some, issues with the distributor and the artwork to make sure that it was just, really coming out. It was a little too dark before, so we had to do some, the reprint and everything before it came out. We didn't want to release it half-assed. So, it's taking a little bit more time, but we're really proud of it.
But I'm hearing noise around the internet about you guys, so this is all a good thing.
This is great.
Noise is good.
This is really great. We like that.
Well, thank you for taking the time and getting up early to do an interview with a radio guy. This was the first one, but I hope we do many more.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you.
It was good to see you and nice to meet you. And thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.